You are listening to Peak One Sports.
Welcome to this episode of the Sports Page on the Peak One Sports Network. I'm Ashton Nix, and joining me, as always, is Chris Robb. What is going on, Chris?
Nothing much, man. How's it going?
I was going to start talking about how we just got back from Branson, Missouri, on a little weekend vacation, but it seems like every time we do a show, I'm talking about a vacation I just took. So I'm starting to think maybe I take too many vacations.
Yeah. How was it? You enjoy it?
Yeah, it was nice. I thought it was pretty hot and humid until one morning it was about 65 degrees. And I looked at the temperature here in Texas, and it was 100 and the heat index was 110. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, I thought, okay, maybe it's not that bad. And then we got here and confirmed once we got back that, yeah, it was really, really hot and humid.
Yeah. Yeah, here it's like, so they have the Canadian wildfires going on. So, like, it's just so smoky and it just smells like barbecue outside. Like, it's the air quality. I think they said the air quality in Chicago is the worst in the country right now. So, it's like no one trying to go outside. We had practice today. They canceled practice. Like it was just, just kind of a thing. We're just waiting it out, I guess.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I didn't realize. I mean, I know Chicago's pretty close to Canada, but I didn't realize where in Canada the wildfires are in comparison to Chicago.
hmm Yeah. So we're just waiting and just to see what everything, how everything clears up and everything. So just kind of just staying inside, staying inside for now.
Yeah, it's like quarantine all over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Sports Page. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page, comment, and hit that notification button so you know anytime Peak One Sports is live or a new show is posted, whether it be this show, the Bungalow Sports Show, Sports Biz with Tony Nix, all kinds of shows we have going on. Just make sure you hit that notification button just so you know when one of those drops. And listen to all of our Peak One Sports shows on podcast platforms, however you listen to podcasts. Today we are talking about a couple of sports movies. We teased it last week, and this week we're talking about a couple not extremely popular sports movies, but ones that are up there that always end up on somebody's top lists. The Program, and then we will talk about Draft Day. I will have to admit, I did not know this.
Yeah.
Until I thought, man, I need to rewatch The Program just to get ready for this episode. Apparently, I've never seen it until I found it on YouTube and watched it, and I have never seen it. I don't know what movie I was thinking of, but yeah, today was the first time I've ever seen The Program.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I looked and tried to research or try to look it up, and apparently there's a cycling movie called The Program that's more recent. And I'm like, I know that's not it.
Yeah,
I knew it was a football movie. Yeah,
on, like on road trips and everything.
yeah, I've never seen it. Maybe I was thinking Any Given Sunday. I don't know what I was thinking when I was putting it together, but I looked it up and I started watching it. I was like, I don't remember any of this.
Yeah, it's like 2015.
Yeah. The cycling one is. And but of course the program we're going to talk about today.
I know we used to watch The Program all the time.
Yeah, the program we're going to be talking about today is the college football movie from I think 1993. But yeah, this is my first time watching this film apparently. Real quick, Chris, what are your thoughts on the movie? Just kind of give an overview of because I know you suggested this movie that apparently it's one of I assume it's one
Yeah,
of your favorites.
yeah.
You're the one that suggested it.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a great movie. I remember. Yeah, it's a good movie. I remember on like bus rides on road trips during college, we used to watch it. Um, it's kind of it's a little crazy. It's just about like kids dealing with the pressures of playing a college major college football program, and some of them drink, some of them doing drugs, and overall, I thought it was just it's just kind of a good movie to have in the background. Kind of just a on a road trip, if you're not doing anything, you can flip it on. I've seen it a few times, so but it's I enjoy it. It's kind of like a football bonding movie type thing where like you watch as a team. So it's a good movie.
Yeah, I like that. It obviously takes up on the dramatic tones a little bit, um, but I
Yeah.
assume most of the problems are pretty realistic. I liked how
Hmm.
it brought up steroids for example, and it kind of was the comedic
Hmm.
side of it. Like, hey, he's raging on roids. He's going busting his head through windows because he's excited.
Yeah.
And then it takes a real dark
Right.
turn with assault, and then the
Yeah.
struggle where he stops taking the steroids and he just can't perform to that level, and then he's pressured to do it again, and
Hmm.
it kind of
Hmm.
completes a wavelength of where that goes, and I like it because it talks about the funny side, the dark side, the dramatic side, where uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's probably the extreme. I think most people who take steroids, that's not everyone's experience, but it gives them. I thought near the end, he takes the steroids and he makes the big play, and I'm like,
Yeah.
are they really gonna try to put that message in here that hey, get back on steroids? It turns out great for you, and then of course he ends up not being able to play again because his coach knows he was on steroids. Um,
Yeah.
but it has that. But yeah, it has everything you can think of all kind of meshed into a movie where
Hmm.
players dealing with injury, players dealing with like you said, drugs and alcohol, uh,
Yeah.
not being able to make the grades. They talk about, hey, I'm on steroids because you can play all the time. You're just at this level. Not all of us can play at this level.
Hmm.
The pressures of your star quarterback, the struggles of the backup quarterback, the
Hmm.
cheating that goes on. It even dipped a little bit into playing college players and how they don't make any money, or at least back in when this movie came out,
Yeah. I
they
agree.
didn't
Yeah.
make any money. But I liked it.
Hmm.
It was a really dramatic movie. It was funny at
Hmm.
points, and it's not your everyday sports movie where in the end I mean, I know they won the game at the end and were bowl eligible, but it's not the fairy tale ending you expect. They didn't go on to win a
Yeah. Not.
national championship or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. How most kind of movies are like they end up in a championship game, and other than like Friday Night Lights where they lose, every other team usually wins the championship. But yeah, it was more kind of realistic. It's everything's hyperbole though. Like everything is so like dramatic, and but some of those things are real. Like dealing with
Yeah.
you know backups, dealing with incoming freshmen coming in, and you're trying to earn a spot, and just things of that nature. And that's why I really enjoy it. I know it's a little crazy, especially like the steroids thing. Like I've never like seen it or anything like that, but like it's there. Like I know for a fact that it's definitely prevalent in college football. But it's just a good movie, just like just to watch and just kind of just hang out and enjoy, especially if you kind of relate to playing football, playing college. So yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it though. I haven't seen it since 20. I saw it in 2021. That was the last time I saw it at the beginning of 2021.
Yeah. Um, I agree. It's realistic in some ways, but I mean, it takes all the issues that probably most teams deal with, and then they take it to the extreme. But I've never played college football, so I'll take your word for it on the realistic side,
Hmm.
where you've obviously played college football. Um, but yeah, just the pressures
Oh
that a
yeah.
lot of people think about. I mean, they did use a lot of stereotypes, um, with the quarterback. I tell you something that is different. They use a stereotype with a quarterback
Hmm.
who's uh, comes from a broken home, whose father's kind of a dick to him. Um, and then you expect at the end his dad to be sitting there in the seat at on the
Hmm.
50-yard line, and he's not there, and he kind of just says "F you, dad," and goes and wins the game. That I didn't see coming.
Oh
I
yeah,
kept thinking, I
yeah.
was like, yeah, his dad's gonna walk up there at the last second, but he didn't, which kind of sets us
Hmm.
apart
Yeah.
um, from what you'd think the typical sports movie would be. I mean, it's definitely
Oh
not
yeah,
your Disney
yeah.
sports movie.
Yeah. The cliche. Yeah. Yeah. That is definitely not. Yeah. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot about that part. Yeah. It's definitely like you kind of sitting on edge. You don't really know what's gonna happen. Like you would like you kind of just are going along with the movie, and that's what I kind of liked about it, especially like at that moment because I definitely was waiting for his dad to come because every movie that's what happens. In Friday Night Lights, you know, Billingsley's dad is like, a jerk to him all the whole movie, and then hugs him at the end on the 50-yard line when they lose, and you know,
Yeah.
just that sort of thing. So, but yeah, definitely, I agree.
Maybe a little cheesy part of the movie that's probably less realistic is when the I can't remember his name, but he takes the freshman takes the starting tailback position. Tailback moves to fullback, and he's blocking. He missed a block, and they get
I
in a
think it's
fight.
Darnell.
Darnell, yeah, and then he
Hmm.
makes the block at the last second or the last play, and they're all happy about it, and they're all friends again. Which I don't think that'd be realistic at all, given the situation
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
happening off the field with those two guys.
right. Yeah, and then definitely a little cheesy, but yeah, that I like that part too, like the incoming freshman. He's on the visit, and that's it's kind of realistic, especially when they're coming in, they're trying to take his spot, and then the people that are there, obviously not having it at all. So, um, yeah, that's very realistic, except for the whole cliche. Oh, that doesn't happen, not at all.
Yeah, like football is bigger than everything. Being teammates is bigger than everything off the field. Like that doesn't come into play a
Mhm.
lot of times, especially when a lady's
Doesn't
involved.
always happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, we definitely recommend if you've lived under a rock like me and have never seen this movie. I definitely recommend it. It's a good sports movie. I mean, even though there are references that no longer exist because it's a dated movie. It's still a good movie to even watch today because a lot of the issues it deals with is still issues that a lot of
Mhm,
athletes deal with today. Before we get into our second movie, I just want to go ahead and
mhm,
give a shout out to Betalytics, our sponsor. The Betalytics dashboards allow you to quickly identify top graded best bets and hottest trends. Make sure to use promo code PEAK1 for 25% off when you sign up today. Go to betalytics.com to start betting smarter. All right. Our second movie we're going to talk about is a little more modern than the program was. Draft Day with Kevin Costner. Um, I I tend to watch this movie when I see it come on. I like it. I like uh, the mood around it, and it's just kind of chaotic. It's dramatic, even though in a lot of instances it's not very realistic at all. Um,
You're right.
To me, this movie is uh, written, and I understand why, but it's scripted to entertain everybody, whether you're a football fan or not. It Some of the
Mhm.
conversations the guys have are conversations that would never take place, but they're obviously conversations scripted so we as an audience, especially the ones that don't know football as well,
Mhm.
are kind of let in the loop on it.
Mhm.
But I think it's very entertaining. Again, it's up on the dramatics, just like any movie. I mean, that's the whole point
Yeah.
of a movie is to have the drama involved. What did you think Draft Day? Not that you just watched it, but what's your thoughts on that movie?
Yeah. I I like Draft Day. I say it's like the best worst movie, like
Yeah,
because it's not realistic, but it's like it's just it's a good bad movie. Like
yeah,
I
not
can't really like
it's
put
not
words to
quite
it.
a guilty pleasure type movie. I mean, it's a good movie.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, it's just some of the scripted
Yeah.
words in it that even it's not like they just completely whiffed on it and didn't know. I mean, they have uh, real NFL analysts in this movie
Yeah.
saying some
Yeah.
of this stuff. I mean, the part like at the beginning of the draft, they say, uh, if they don't pick before the clock runs out, they go on to
Right.
talk about one
Like
time
they
it
wouldn't
happened
have.
or whatever. Like no
Yeah.
NFL draft has ever come across like that because
Mhm.
99.9% of the time, the team who has the first overall pick already knows who
You
they're
already
taking.
know. Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and the drama around how great of the deals he made were because in the end he took one pick and turned it into three players or whatever. I was like,
Hmm.
really, he only got an extra first round pick, first of all, because he already
Yeah.
had one. Everybody has
Hmm.
one. And then he did trade three second round picks for one pick. You know, in the end, when he got all of his
Yeah.
number one picks back, he still doesn't
Hmm.
have any second round picks. So really, it's not like he made these amazing deals. Not that he made bad deals, uh, but he still has three picks. There are still three picks that he doesn't have anymore that he turned into those players.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's a and like the whole thing about they're like watching film on the guys like on draft day,
Yeah,
and it's like they already know. Like like they're like, wait a minute, what did he do? Like, oh, he gave
yeah,
the like
yeah.
kicked out. He was being.
So we talked about last episode. Is there any chance that the Spurs don't take Wimbenyama? Um,
Right.
I promise you that the Hornets, uh, I can't even remember all the top picks, but the Hornets, the Pistons,
Hornets,
everybody who had
Rockets.
the top pick
Yeah.
did their research on Wimbenyama just in case. Although you really didn't have to. You're going to take Wimbenyama if he fell to two or three or
Hmm.
whatever. So just because I've had this conversation with somebody and I'm like, yeah, that would never happen. They wouldn't be going getting filmed the day of, hours before. And he said, well, yeah, they
Hmm.
didn't have the number one pick then. And I was like, it doesn't matter. As you saw in the uh, later in the movie that he drops and drops, and that does happen. It doesn't happen because one GM was didn't take him, and so the next GM called him and was freaking out. Why didn't you take him or anything? It's not exactly that dramatic,
Yeah.
but players do fall, so you know
Hmm.
100%. You're gonna have that research done. You're gonna already have that film first of all, whether you've watched it or
Hmm.
not. Um, but you're going to want to know that because if he does drop to you, you want to know, well, why was he dropping?
Why did he fall to me? Yeah.
Yeah,
Why did
why
he
did
fall?
he?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not um and part of that film study, I know when they were talking about whoever, Chadwick Boseman's character, the defensive end that
Hmm.
kept, they were
Michael
going
Mack.
back and
Yeah.
forth. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm like that's not how they review film. He's like, review it. Where who do you give the ball to? And he's like, oh yeah, that's his
Yeah.
sister. And I'm like, were you trying to
Hmm.
make a point? How do you not know what he did or what he got kicked out for, but you know that is his sister? Um,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, I think I watched a YouTube video about it. They actually had a GM, uh, review it, like watch it and give his thoughts on it. And then he was like, "Yeah,
Mhm.
that's not really how it happens." Um,
Mhm.
but he did say like the banter back and forth between the GMs when they're talking about trading, that was pretty accurate. They they're kind of
Oh,
smart athlete and go back and forth, but uh,
mhm.
how dramatic it is that they're trying to one up each other. It's like really you don't do that because you want to keep that relationship for future purposes. You never want to be in bad graces with GMs. You all want to be friends, uh,
Mhm.
just so you have that open line of communication.
Yeah, I'm sure there are GMs that don't like each other though. I'm 100% sure that um, I'm pretty sure not everyone loves Mark Cuban.
Yeah,
It might be part of the reason why like the Mavs can't get like a free agent to save our lives. But
yeah,
like I think I think that was very accurate. I love that part. I love going like behind the scenes and seeing GMs and why they make their decisions and them just talking and scouting players and things like that. So I love stuff like that.
yeah. And part of it too. Trying to remember. So when he makes the pick, he said, "No,
Hmm.
I've already turned in the pick." It's like that doesn't
Hmm.
happen.
Then he
You're
goes into the other room
Yeah, your
and
team, your what they call the war room, the people
hmm.
on your staff in there, they talk about it. Well, I mean, not that everybody has to agree on it, because in the end, somebody wins out. Somebody has the
Hmm.
last say. Whether it be for the Cowboys, it's Jerry Jones or Stephen Jones in
Yeah.
some instances. There's going to be that animosity, and that arguing or bickering back and forth. But
Hmm.
in the end, it's like, okay, we all know who you're picking. Roger Goodell doesn't make an announcement, and anybody in that war room is shocked.
It's like,
More
oh,
or
why?
less,
Right.
more or less, the owner who's uh, in New York, ready to give the jersey to Bo Callahan, and then he hears
Hmm.
there's no way that happens.
Yeah,
And
because
if
they
that were
gotta,
to happen,
especially.
he's 100% right to fire Kevin Costner's character if that's how it goes
Yeah,
down.
yeah, I think yeah. It's like especially like in real life, there's like the whole process. They gotta stitch the jersey, they gotta, do all that, So it makes for a great movie though. It's definitely dramatic. And I remember the first time I watched it, I wasn't really familiar. I can't remember what year it came out. Did it come out like 2014 or 15?
So yeah, somewhere
14.
around there.
Yeah. So like
I
I
was about to
wasn't
say
like
when the Browns were terrible, but they kind of still are.
yeah. Yeah, so I was kind of just amazed because I at that point I was a freshman, I believe, in college, and so I was just trying to like figure everything out. Like, oh, is that how it goes? And now, but yeah, it's definitely not like that. I definitely learned over the years, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
that may be like some Madden level GM working, some video game
Hmm.
stuff. Um,
Right.
Another part, man, I'm really bashing this movie, but I promise I like it, and I
Yeah.
recommend
See,
it.
that's what I'm saying.
Uh,
It's a
but
bad movie, but it's a great movie.
they try to paint this picture that he fired his father, who's this legendary coach, but then they talk about they've had one winning season in the last 10 years.
Hmm.
And it's like, then how was his father this legendary coach if they haven't been winning?
If they haven't won, yeah.
Like they have to merge these two storylines. Like this team has been
Hmm.
terrible. He's trying to rebuild it. But yeah,
Hmm.
he fired his father.
Who's the
Um,
legendary? Yeah.
who the field was named after, the practice field was named after. I don't remember
Yeah.
uh, what part of it, but I do like that. In a lot of movies, and I'm not sure why they do it, because I saw it on the program too. I know it's a made up Eastern State University or whatever, but
Mhm.
they play real schools with the real uniforms. And like movies
Mhm.
like The Replacements, where it's not the Dallas Cowboys, it's the Washington Sentinels or whatever. It's not the Washington
Mhm.
Redskins at the time.
Yeah.
But this uses all the team names. It uses the cities. It uses the stadiums. It uses everything. And I'm not sure if they pay extra for that. I
I
assume that's it because I don't know why any studios, any
yeah.
movies would just completely make up teams and like
Hmm.
the replacements did, because that seems like a lot of extra time and money and effort to do
Hmm.
that. But I did like that they used all the real, the real
Yeah, like the
likenesses
Browns
of the
and
schools,
yeah.
yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
of the teams. Um, and even, no, it's funny, even though the Cowboys haven't done anything in forever, they still reference that, this coach they just got, he won 2 Super Bowls in Dallas.
Yeah.
Somehow they're still referencing that Dallas is a big brand, that they want to be
Hmm.
the team that wins.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I like it's that's a great point. I love it. Just it that's what I guess to me like made it a little realistic because they have all the real teams. You know, Vontae Mack, he went to Ohio State, if I'm not correct, or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah, so it was just, it just was like, oh, I know that school, as opposed to, they make up a name of whatever, and just like on any given Sunday,
yeah,
I forgot the team, like the Sharks or something, the Dallas
yeah,
Sharks or something like that. Yeah, so it kind of just made it like, oh, that's like,
yeah. The
that's
significance of the
realistic.
teams, and then the colleges,
Hmm. Hmm.
the top few picks would probably be a quarterback from Wisconsin. They're a big
Yeah.
time school, a defensive end
Hmm.
from Ohio State.
Ohio State,
Yeah, if
yeah.
you just name them, that
Chase
doesn't,
Young, yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
it doesn't hold, uh, or it doesn't put the emphasis on how good they are. You're just
Hmm.
random defensive end from Wasamata U. I don't even know where I got
Yeah.
that. Rocky and Bullwinkle, I think. I don't know. Um, I didn't make that up. That's from something. I know it was deep in my
Yeah,
brain from
that
somewhere.
look that sounds familiar.
Yeah, Wasamata U is something. Comment down below and tell us, right? Is that Rocky and Bullwinkle? I don't remember. But yeah, no.
Mhm.
I definitely enjoyed this movie. It's just, you know, I know why they script it, because my wife will watch it and she can follow along, but she doesn't. She
Mhm.
doesn't know the ins and outs, the specifics, and it'd be a real boring movie if they went that way, because typically trades involving draft picks aren't that dramatic. Um,
Mhm.
I don't think GMs are telling each other like, "Come on, you want to do it." Talking to them like they're a car salesman, making them feel like they screwed up,
Right.
um, and then taking advantage of rookie GMs and saying, you don't want to take him, skip on him. Just let me get you out of this jam. Trade me your pick. You
Mhm.
know, it makes for a great, hey, he's the hero, he's the GM. Um, but not very realistic. But again, I think it's a really good movie.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I enjoy it. That's also another movie I used to watch on we used to watch on the roads whenever they on the bus, they'll just put it on. That was the first time I actually watched it, was on a bus. And every time it kind of comes on, I just sit and watch. It's just always. I don't think I've ever just like flipped from it. I've always kind of just watched it because it's a solid movie. I like it.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, some of the conversations that are just convenient
Hmm.
for the audience to learn. It's like some of these guys, if that guy asks that question in that situation, he'd be fired. You're like,
Hmm.
how do you not already know
Yeah.
everything? Like there's nothing. Uh,
Right.
but I regress. I promise I like the movie.
Hmm. Yeah.
Any final thoughts before we leave here on either movie, The Program or Draft Day?
No, I would just say to viewers, I would go watch. Those are classic like unknown movies that if you haven't seen, I would definitely watch. It's I'm surprised you haven't seen the program. That
Yeah,
definitely
today.
surprised me
No,
a
I
lot.
searched it today and I found it, and I found a crappy version of it on YouTube because I didn't want to spend $8 to rent it. Um,
Right.
and I started watching it. I'm like, I don't remember this part. And then it goes. I'm like,
Hmm.
I've never seen this movie before. I
Wow.
think I might have been thinking Any Given Sunday. I don't know what I was thinking, but I could have sworn I've seen it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
I got to
no,
go back and rewatch it too. Yeah.
it's there weren't parts other than you were talking about paying players where he slips the money into his coat pocket.
Oh
It's
yeah.
not
Yeah.
really all that much a dated movie. It's a lot of problems that I assume college football players deal with today. I think I
Definitely,
think
yeah.
it's a great,
Mm,
a great movie.
yeah. Also, Wasamata U is the Rocky and Bullwinkle.
I knew it. I definitely heard that from something. I didn't make it. That'd been weird if I'd have just made that
That's
up.
funny.
Guys, thank you for listening to this
I was
episode
like,
of the
that's
Sports Page. Like I said earlier, make sure you subscribe, follow us, watch us, share us. Tell your friends about us. Unless you're too embarrassed to watch us. If we're your guilty pleasure, I can't help you there. Until next time, I'm Ashton. That's Chris. See you guys later.